Welcome, everybody. I am so excited today. I cannot wait to share today's interview with you and for you to meet my friend Isabel. And listen, we were talking before we even hit record, just so I could get a little bit of backstory about what Isabel is going to share today. And I got to tell you, this is going to be game changer for some of you. This is going to change your life if you really pay attention to what she has to say. And she has got a lot of experience, a lot of know-how, a lot of wisdom, a lot of success with herself and others, helping them through this. And I just can't wait to share. I'm so excited. Isabel, is it okay if we just jump in and I share your bio when we get started? And then I'm going to let you just dive in.
Let's do this.
All right. I'm excited. So today, here's what you're going to learn from Isabel. She's going to show you exactly how her unique method that she's developed over the years helps burnout female entrepreneurs and business owners transform their business so they have more time, flexibility, financial certainty, and freedom to enjoy the next stage of their life. This is going to be powerful. I'm going to introduce you to Isabel real quick with her bio, and then we're going to let her share her system with you so you can start moving forward and get that freedom you so desire. So Isabel is a dynamic self-made entrepreneur who has cultivated an award-winning 10 million plus global chemical wholesale business and grew it from dining room table to international boardrooms. Can't wait to hear some of that. She has 50 plus years of business experience across diverse industries. She's respected as an advisor, a coach, a mentor, and a role model. And she believes in sharing collective wisdom and empowering others to economic independence. So, Isabel, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Evans.
So I am so excited. I got to just real quick, I got to ask you, we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes here so we can start helping some folks. What made you get started in this? How did you discover this unique system that you've created that's helped so many people?
I am precisely the product of the problem that my clients are dealing with. I was a burnt out, overwhelmed, overworked, underpaid entrepreneur for a long time. Now, I built that business. I had the most remarkable adventure traveling around the world, but I really burnt out and I consumed all of my energy and my passion for my business after 20 years. And I sold that company and then went through this whole transformation process of learning what I did wrong at the end of my company and what I needed to do to create my encore, my next great role in life. And in developing that system, really hands-on on the job, I realized that there were so many other people like me that were facing that same problem of being tied to a business that no longer gave them what they started it for in the first place. And that was the freedom, the flexibility, the fun, the financial independence. They'd lost a lot of that along the way, but didn't know how to get out and change it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know. And you and I have talked about this, and so many people that you've worked with have come to you with this problem. And I know those of you watching and listening to this, many of you are experiencing this as well. So I just have another couple questions around this. So when you discovered it, did you start doing it yourself and then you started sharing it with others, or what did that process look like?
Absolutely. What I found was when I was in that place of having to figure out, okay, what's next? What's now? And in fact, who am I now that I don't have that business card that says I'm the CEO of something important? I mean, I was really feeling lost, Evans, about, what I was going to do to be valued, to receive value, like really what was my value anymore now? And knowing that sitting in a rocking chair or on a golf cart wasn't enough for me at that time of my life, I did a lot of research. I read all the books. I went to all the seminars. I followed everything, but I couldn't quite find the manual for that part of my life. I wasn't ready to take it easy, and yet I had worked so hard and built up my business that it was like, okay, now what do I do with that? And because I couldn't find the perfect system, particularly for women, I think, although my system works for everybody at every age, I especially heard repeatedly from so many women in their 50s and 60s going, oh my God, what now? How do I do this? And so I developed the Encore methodology, testing me, and then expanded that in the networks that I was involved with other women entrepreneurs, and came up with a system that really, really works to give them results.
I love it. So this is something that you've tested, you've helped others with. It's repeatable. It's
Mhm.
delivered results time and time again. Just we don't want to dive too deep into stories right now because I know people are dying to hear about the system. Which everybody, are you waiting to hear the system like me? And she's going to share it here in just a second. So I promise. She promised she would over deliver on the value, but my question would be, what did some of those results look like from a real high level for some of these people you have helped and guide through this system?
I think the thing that excites me the most is when my clients get the recognition that they have become almost a slave in their own business, and that it is time for them to fire themselves from the hands-on, in the weeds part of it every day, and promote themselves upstairs to be not only CEO of the business, but CEO of their life, their encore life, where they can do more in addition to what they're doing now, or they can transform their life entirely to the areas that they wish they had more time for, or the I always wanted tos.
I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna dig a little deeper because you shared a story with me that was just so powerful of one of your clients who is actually her timeline recently sped up to where she's able to jump and do this thing she's always dreamed of. So real quick, what did that look like for your client, like in her business? Because I know there was a big result in the
Yeah.
business, the bottom line, the part that we would like to talk about, the profits, but the freedom to move on to that next thing was really there too. And it sped up through your system much faster than she ever thought she'd be able to do this. So, real quick, what did that look like?
Absolutely. In less than 2 years, I took her from, "I've really grown to resent my business, but I have invested so deeply in my life, the money, the training, the time, the sacrifices with my family and my personal life. I feel like I'm stuck with this now, and yet I don't love it anymore, and I have a dream. There's something else that I want to do, and I want to do this with my husband, and I moved to another country with my children, but,"
Mm,
and so I worked with her, and in 2 years, we've quadrupled the revenue in her business. We have created a whole succession plan for management and operation of the company, first clarifying the vision that she originally had for that company, but helped her to see it as a more grown-up business,
mm,
and helped her to see herself as more valuable to the organization as a shareholder, chairman of the board, whatever you want to call that, where she then was able to step back, be much more objective in her business from an investment perspective, but to have that financial certainty from it to go on and live her encore life. So in 4 years, she's actually shortened her timeline that we started with 2 years ago. I'm sorry, in 2 years, we've taken it from 4 years down to a little less than 3,
oh my
and
gosh.
yeah, she's moving shortly, and additionally, expansion plans are happening. They're taking place right now that we didn't even forecast when we wrote the original Encore script.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love that. So
Yeah.
quadrupled the
Hmm.
revenue.
Yes.
And she's working now like just minuscule hours compared to what she used to.
She is working 1 day a week where she used to
Um,
work about 8 days a week.
oh my gosh. So yeah, I know how many of us understand that part of it, right? It feels like we all work 8 days a week. So 1 day a
Yeah.
week and shortened her timeline to have that next phase, which I absolutely love it. So that's an amazing result, which I love being able to see that you're able to duplicate what you were able to do for yourself,
Mhm.
but then helping guide other people is really important and shortening that timeline because she didn't even know there was an escape route in the past.
Yeah.
She didn't know there was a possibility. So not only did you develop and help her create the belief, but then you built out the timeline and now you have been able to shorten it and she's expansion, which who would have ever thought that? She could have probably never even dreamed about that when she was working basically 8 days a week before. So okay, we got to get into it then because you've mentioned it. The Encore system is what delivered that kind of result along with your guidance and help. So, what does that system look like from a real high level view, just to help people picture it and see how they could start moving themselves through it right now when they hop off of this interview?
Right. Well, you mentioned earlier that I built a very large chemical company. And so the word catalyst is significant for me from that industry, but also a catalyst is something that you add to other things to change them, to help them become something even more without changing the catalyst itself. So I took my career experience, I've got over 50 years of being in business and 25 years of my own company. And that experience acted as the catalyst to help other people look at their business from a different perspective, to be much more strategic in the planning, but also to vision bigger and believe that it's possible by creating a system which there's only 5 steps. And I'm not sure, do you want me to talk about those 5 steps now, Evans?
I am muted. It would help if I'm so excited that I'm a loss for words here. So yes, let's please go in and let's share the 5 steps of this system so they can get clarity around what it looks like.
I love this system because, as we said, it works for everybody of all ages, but specifically, it really works well in a business environment because the first step of the Encore system is the prologue, where we really take stock of everything that brought you to where you are today, all of the assets, the strengths, the experiences, the resources that are available. Because I always like to remind people, don't panic. You're not starting over from scratch. You're starting from experience. Then secondly, we work together to create a script, a new script, what if possibilities. If anything was possible, if there were no limits or restrictions, what would you like your life to be like? Then we think about the stage and we talk about what you want to do, where you want to do it, when you want to do it, and really create a map of how to get there. The next stage, that's a step of the system that's really, really important, and one I find that people often have a little difficulty with, and that is to really assess your cast and crew. Not everybody who came with you can go forward, or they have a different role or a different priority in your life. So let's look at who now are the cast and crew that you need to cultivate and nurture to help you fulfill that Encore script. And then finally, we're looking at the production part. So, in that theatrical metaphor, of course, the show doesn't go on. It's not a sellout if you don't produce the show. And so, those are the really how to hands on nitty gritty steps that we create the strategic plan so that we have some KPIs to keep track of. In the business world, metrics are very, very important, and we produce their Encore system so that they can say yes, your Encore system, YES, to being the CEO of their life. You're muted again, Evans.
When you think about that, there's a reason why movies and plays on Broadway, they're created with a producer. You need somebody to actually guide the process, which is, I'm guessing, the part that you play alongside of these clients as you go through this Encore system.
Yes, and if they still want me to go on deeper with them, then I become the director with them to further make sure that they are progressing and implementing and staying very clearly in that new role, that new starring role in their life, and not reverting back into past roles that they've actually outgrown.
Yeah, yeah, you need that accountability, I'm sure, and that guidance to sort of help
Mhm.
you as you're, because I mean, how many of you know as you start moving forward, sometimes you get a little like, hey, this is working, and then you sort of forget it's working because I'm doing the work, and then you often can get a little sidetracked. And I'm sure life and business can sort of pull you back if you're not careful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we all have the hecklers in our audience and the bumps along the way. And so that's making sure that you're staying on track and refining the script as you go forward.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, real quick, looking at the system, are there a
Mhm.
few places within that system that you tend to see people get stuck the most or have the biggest struggles? Is it tough to let go of those team members that may have been with you for a long time, but maybe aren't the right fit for the next step? Or what are some of those places that feel like it's tough within the system?
The first thing that it always is for my client to start to see themselves in a different role.
Mm,
And as you know, we're always teaching people how to treat us. And so until you decide that you're going to take on that new role, that new identity, and you have a vision for your future self, you're still showing up as that same person. So that is the big first step, is deciding who they want to be, and then we map out how they're going to get there. And then that makes the shift in the relationships and makes it easier for my clients to decide, it's not like you have to fire everybody in your life. I'm not suggesting that, but it's reallocating their priority and what the terms of your relationship is with them.
okay, I love this, and the thing I love about a system is that when you've got it dialed in like you have it dialed in, it'll
Yeah.
work for almost anybody, right? It'll work. They can just plug into it using I'm sure for every step of the system, you have specific, templates and scripts and strategy script. Did you notice what I did there? I threw in the word scripts to
You
take
got
people through
it.
this process, right? So that it is
Yeah,
repeatable and duplicatable for all your clients that you work with.
absolutely. I have the tools. We have the structure there,
Mm.
and it is very customizable, but surprisingly very effective overall for everybody with pretty much the same resources. And then with the additional attention to the uniqueness of the individual's personal life or business life, and more importantly, what do they want to do next? Like, do they want to move to another country, or do they want to, have a start another business? This is another thing I'm finding more and more is um, my clients are the type of people that they're really driven and they're very expansive. They have a future mindset, and so it's not that they just want to do less, it's that they want to make room for more.
Mm.
And that's the great part of working with the Encore system, because, yeah, well, we know Encore means more, more.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And with the system comes certainty around achieving that aspirational future, no matter what it is, which is what I love.
Mhm.
It's not cookie cutter. It's, hey, what is your aspirational future? And who knows, you might discover, as your client did, that maybe part of that aspirational future is now that I'm only working 1 day a week and I'm able to move that timeline up to fill my dream and move to that new country, maybe we'll also expand the business because now I know how to do that without being
Mhm.
pulled back into it and create a legacy for my family and help those, create more opportunities for other team members. So I absolutely love that. So the system, it just feels like there is you just plug into it, you get your guidance, you get your help, you get these amazing results, you create this future, this aspirational future of more, right? The next step, the encore. But I know you and I have talked about this, but there's some things every now and then that hold people back. So I've got to ask you, what is something that might hold somebody back from being able to take this system and run with it?
Um, Not having a vision or not believing that you still have time,
Mm,
or that you have the skills or the resources is is what holds people back. The feeling like, oh gosh, I'm stuck here. I've created this. This is what everybody expects of me. How are people that are close to me going to react to me suddenly saying I'm going to do this? Because people are comfortable and accustomed to who we are and how we impact their lives. So having the vision first is such an important step.
mm.
And then it becomes so easy after that because once you have the vision and we start to create that map, the visual encore and the written strategic plan for it, it takes away a lot of the fear.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, because how many of you listening to this or watching it have ever, especially if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, you're driven, you get into your business, you're so it's almost like you're in a rut, right? Where you're in this rut doing the same thing day in and day out that it's hard to see the vision of what's possible without somebody there to help you create that. So I could definitely see how that would help. Do you have any like experiences of clients that could sort of clarify that have like what they've experienced when they've felt this way before?
Absolutely. Actually, a very recent example with a client who only saw herself in this particular career lane because she had done it for so long and had great success at it. And she felt she just had to keep going on that because there was no way for her to step out of that lane and still have the financial support that she needed. In working through the process and spending some time together to really dig into what she really wanted to do now, and that it was not only okay, but it was actually even desirable to expect to be somebody different. Um, she she realized that positioning her business to remove herself from it, from the daily operations, that she created more value in her company and increased what she was going to get when she made the decision, no, actually, I want to sell it.
Mm,
As opposed to where we started in the very beginning, it was about creating freedom for her to continue to receive revenue or income from the business. Now she decided, okay, now I see that if I'm out of it, if I'm not the primary asset, the world will end if I don't go and do everything every day. Nobody can do it as well as mom. She made a much more valuable and attractive business for sale. And she's
mm.
going to go ahead and do that so that she can go full time with her encore, which is radically different from what she is doing still right now.
I love that. I love that. So she went from feeling like I have to do everything. I mean, how many of you have experienced this, right? Like I've done it myself, even in my business, where it's like nobody can do it better than me, so I have to do it. And we
Mhm.
don't realize that we are actually not only like denying ourselves of the freedom, we're stressing ourselves out, and we're pulling the
Mhm.
business down
Mm.
with us, right? Which is the least thing we want to do. And I absolutely love that, how you were able to help her step away from that and increase the value of her company. And now she's got a really sellable asset, which she didn't really have before. That's just amazing.
I wish I'd had me when I was in that stage, because I ended up selling the company for much less money than I should have after having worked so hard to build it, because that was the story. I was the key asset, and the buyers knew that.
Mm,
That once I left the organization, the relationships, the value of my connections, my personality diminished the value of the company.
mm. Yes, I see that. And I know exactly what some of you listening and watching are thinking right now too. They're thinking, I wish I had one of you too, Isabel, to help me with this in the Encore system. So
Yeah.
more on that in a second, but I want to dive in. I've got another question for you, because here's
Mhm.
the big one, right? Time. Does time, do people usually come to you and they're like, I just don't have time to jump into your system because my time is all over here in my business, working 8 days a week, 100 million hours a week, whatever that looks like, right? So how do you see that with these business owners? How are they able to shift from that mindset of, I don't have the time for anything else in my business and in my life right now, I've got too many things going on?
Well, using the example of the client that we talked about who was working 8 days a week and is now down to 1 day a week, and in June will go to 0 days a week because, she's set up the team and the organization and empowered people to run it bigger, better than she was doing it herself, is the answer. It's by, first of all, you have to know that you want to reach for that rung of the trapeze
Hmm.
so that you're gonna, okay, so how are you going to get there? Well, you're going to have to stop doing some things and make room for, and again, it's like we can magnify time, like Einstein said. It's only limited by what we think it is. And because I can, and have done this so many times for so much of my life, running other people's businesses and my own and with my clients, I can see pretty quickly what they don't need to be doing and who can do it better than them. And that's where then we start looking at the cast and crew and go, all right, so who could do that better than you?
Mm.
And where are we going to make those decisions? Sometimes I'm having to peel some fingers off of wanting to hold tight to things, but I understand because that was me. Uh, and then when I finally realized, oh my gosh, I'm really great. I've got amazing strengths and abilities, but I don't have them all. And freeing me up to do more of what I'm best at already magnifies the results in the company.
Mm. So I imagine, like, once they get a little taste of a small bit of freedom, then they become a
Mhm.
little more free in their mind, like going, "Hey, I want more of that," and it slowly comes out. But I did have another question, because I wanted to bring this up for the listeners and the viewers, because you actually told me this isn't something where, you have to wait 10 years to get results, however long that is. Like, you actually, and you don't have to like say, okay, Isabel's going to be embedded in your company for the next year before you have a plan. You actually jump right in from the get-go and start creating that freedom of time and creating that vision and putting the Encore system into their business from like day one, right?
Yeah, we're not an auditing firm. What we're doing is creating a plan and a vision, and so and I understand the life of an entrepreneur. You can't go off to Nepal and work on this for 60 days or 90 days. We're going to do this very quickly, hands-on, deep connection, quickly, in as little as a month. You got the plan and you start to implement it, and the
Mm,
changes come very, very fast when my clients see, okay, I do want this, and it's very possible. I have a system. I can do this. And when I have doubt, refer back to the system. What was, go back to the beginning and say, oh yeah, that's why we are doing this.
Mm.
The other great thing is with the system and vision in place, it's so easy to onboard your team and your family members and your friends because now they see, wow, she's not whining, not complaining, and not, martyring herself. She's got a plan and she's going to implement this. Let's get on board and be raving fans with her.
Oh, I love that. So they get buy-in. Okay, so
Yes.
you mentioned we're gonna go real deep here. You mentioned Einstein. So as much as I know about physics, I do know one thing. When you
Mhm.
start getting momentum, it's much easier to keep that momentum rolling like you're helping them do from the get-go than
Yes.
to stop that momentum once it's in action. So that's what's really important. So the reason why I bring this up, because we're coming to the end of this interview, and I want everybody watching this, listening to this, who's inspired, if you're ready to create more freedom, to create more revenue, to create a sellable business, to create the encore of your life, and you're feeling like you just can't do it because you're stuck in a rut, you're stuck. You've heard how Isabel can help you, how she's helped others, how she's helped them move forward with this. And this is what I'm really excited about, Isabel, because you shared something with me before we jumped on this interview. And I want everybody to know like the momentum, now's the time, right? If you're inspired, take that inspired action now. And here's how you can do it because this has been amazing information. You can take what Isabel has shared with you and see the possibility and probably start moving forward. And that's the key. You have to implement with that momentum, right? With the information, or you get no results. But we all know, you and I watching this know that sometimes we take information, we implement, we don't get the result that we want, or we don't get the result fast enough. And it causes us to go off track and get back into that rut. And we don't want anybody to go through that. And that's why I was so excited when Isabel was like, hey, I've got something for everybody that I want to offer to your listeners, to your viewers. And I'm really excited about it. So, Isabel, how can they find out more and take that inspired action now and start getting into momentum?
Evans, thank you, because I want people to be able to say yes to their life and to have more. And so I've arranged with you, we're going to put a link, a button below this interview where people can connect with me and find out if they're ready to start their encore and how we could do that together if we're a good fit.
Oh, I absolutely love it. So, thank you. First of all, grateful for that opportunity to serve our listeners, our viewers. So, as you heard, Isabel, there'll be a button somewhere below this video, and there'll be some instructions. You just click the button, fill out it, answer a few questions, real quick, real easy. And the
Mhm.
next steps will be Isabel will reach out, schedule a time. You guys will talk. You'll get to sort of hear, like, hey, here's how I can help you create that vision and create that encore. Say yes to the encore, say yes to more, and start really living your life. Because you've created something wonderful, right? We don't want to discount that. You've created a wonderful business, a wonderful asset. It's time for you to take the next step and enjoy that and benefit from it while also seeing that freedom and that next thing, that's that aspirational future that you so desire. So this is the perfect opportunity. Thank you again, Isabel. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm so inspired. I know the listeners are inspired, the viewers are inspired. So below here, go on and grab that. And I look forward to talking to you soon. I look forward to hearing about some of these success stories that are going to come from the people that are watching us right now. So thank you again, Isabel, for coming on and sharing. And we appreciate you and your knowledge and your wisdom.
Thank you, Evan. It's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to the Encore Academy Awards party and the dress I'm going to buy.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening and watching, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, Isabel.